to the Design-Based Learning Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Ming. Hello.
Hello. This is episode 12, and
Yeah.
today we're joined by Ming because she is the one giving us some inputs on local teachers and their questions.
Yeah, we got some question from local teachers, as Mike.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we were talking about it at coffee this morning.
Yes.
So can you tell me one of the big questions that were coming up?
Because lots of local teachers, I think it's because it's in Hong Kong and the local system, and they think the system and the education is keep for a long time. So they'll listen for a few episodes for us, but it's very hard. They say it's hard to implement to their local classroom.
Yeah, that's right. So many of your friends were saying this, right?
Yeah, and then most of it, as my experience, is sort of like I think it's very hard, like to do it.
Okay.
It's easy to listen. But once you do it, it's quite hard.
Okay, so just imagine you are a local teacher, and you are
Yes.
trying to implement this. So, why do you want to even start to implement something called design-based learning in your classroom?
To be honest, it's not an easy journey because I'm teaching some student which is like lack of learning motivation in the local school, but it's like the school wants to change to start with. Maybe you heard about it. It's like some project, doing some project to do about learning, and then they just give us lots of book. Maybe you've heard about it, like maybe called PBL, the
Okay.
difference. And
So you had many students who are mostly unmotivated or are unable to understand reason for studying.
yes, they feel very easy to feel boring and don't understand. They need
Okay.
lots of different interactions, and they maybe drop for school for a few years already. Like
Okay.
they're very lag behind for their learning.
So these are really the difficult students to work with.
I would not say they're difficult, but they're
Okay.
very challenging.
It's a big challenge to teach them.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you were given this book by your school? So we have to change. We need to use problem-based learning or PBL.
Yeah.
And how did you start your journey? So just step 1, step 2, step 3.
I start journey like I think most of the teachers like this way, very traditional way, reading and hardworking. I really work hard to read the books. I check the dictionary because most of the book is written by English, by my main language Chinese. I read it, and you got lots of like difficult words like. You can check dictionary for it, like entry events, different rubrics, and then I'm very hardworking person, so I download from online. You can check lots of lesson plan and lots of good learning resources, but it's very hard for me, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't understand. Even they give me the whole plan, I checked each word, and then I still don't understand it.
So you would go through the book, you understand the problem-based learning
Yeah.
in the books somewhat.
Yeah.
But then when it came to trying to implement in the classroom in real time, you were still looking at many challenges before you can make it real.
Yeah, because they can give you all the lesson plan, like very structured one, like the calendar, and you just copy it. What you do is copy it to the classroom, and to be honest, it didn't work. It makes me very frustrated.
Okay, so you followed the instructions, you were doing it, but it wasn't working.
It isn't working, and then I don't know what I'm doing. Students don't know what they are doing, and then it's like everything. And we work as a team, to be honest. And the teacher also try it, and then just different teacher got different perspective. They say, "Oh, this is the entry event," and some teacher will come out and say, "No, I read this book. It's not the one. It should be different." So lots of arguments. Lots of teachers say, "Oh, can we go back?" Traditional working. So it's like they will complain like in arguments. It didn't work. Why are we doing it?
Okay.
Like
So
that kind of thing.
the big push by the school, by the principal, to try to introduce problem-based learning
Yeah.
wasn't being taken up in a practical way or in an easy way by the teachers and by yourselves.
I would say it's lots of struggle for teachers
yeah,
because
big
no one
challenge.
knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone just like figure out by their own way or like from the books.
Because it's so new to everyone.
Yeah, it's so new.
Can I say you've not experienced it when you were growing up in school?
Correct. That's one of for my reflection. I really think about it. Think when I grow up, it's not like this way. So it's very hard. Even you can find online, they have lots of explanation in Word, like what's entry event. but you can only get from your own perspective.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because then you asked me, how come I know these
Yeah,
things?
because we always discuss about
Yeah.
it.
And I said, well, it's very simple. I grew up with it.
Yeah.
It was part of my natural learning environment in the classroom in school. So, I mean, problem-based learning or inquiry-based learning or outcomes-based learning was something not new.
Yeah,
right?
but how about you? You grew up with that environment.
Yeah.
But you also like work as a teacher.
I said, I came to Hong Kong, I had to do it the backwards. I had to learn what the exam system was first before I could implement the problem-based learning or other design-based learning. One simple reason, the system is so strong that I had to make sure the kids or the students understood that I knew what system they were in. And if they knew that I understood the system, then they could appreciate all the other different styles I bring in.
But any challenge or like, because I'm facing lots of challenge and failure in that kind of problem. But how
Of course,
about you? It's
there's always a challenge, and the challenge is always you're an outsider, so they don't think you know what's going on inside. And then second is always there's a communication gap, right? Also, I mean, what I explain may not, the way I explain and the terms I use may not be the same terms that they use or they understand. So there is that gap. And of course, when you implement inquiry-based learning and the classroom is new to you, the system is new to you, there's new challenges in gauging or checking or seeing what level I should be doing the projects at. So how much knowledge input is needed, how much scaffolding is needed. So that's always trial and error. There's always failure there.
That's also one of the words I don't understand, the scaffolding one, because I never heard it before. Like I was discussing with my colleague, and then she teach me. She's like foreigner, and then she teach me that. It takes me a long time for it. But as you say, there's lots of different methodology, like inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, problem-based learning. And then we always ask by some people like, what's the best? Yes, what's that, and what's the best? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I say there are many different ways to do things inside a classroom. The most important is choose what suits your kids, the students in front of you in the class, and the school environment or the learning environment. I mean, there's some variables we cannot control, right? In the classroom, many times, there are things beyond our control. So we focus on what we can control and give the learning methods most suited for those students so that they are motivated and engaged. So the key word is, how do I get them engaged? How do I get them motivated? And sometimes, like I said in the beginning, for me to get that motivation, I had to show them I knew the exam system. So we would do some exam practice just for them to understand, okay, this is old Hong Kong. This is Form 5 HKCE previous to the current system. And I had to show them, okay, look, I know the CE exam, so then they get engaged and motivated and realize, okay, I understand where they're coming from. So it's whatever works for the class. So you have to learn how to switch, try, fail, try again, and see what's going on.
So true. I think nowadays it's like if you have motivation for learning, so it's learning. Learning means the motivation is by students, so they want to learn more.
Yes.
But if you like the teacher keeps on like putting those knowledge into it, if we're so like distort the process, it's like
if it's too one-sided, it's very difficult.
The most ideal is like if the student want to learn more, they have motivation, they will keep on running and running.
And to understand, it's very hard to keep the engagement going. It's always it's a daily challenge. And as you know, even inside a lesson, maybe the start of the lesson is good, but in the middle, you could lose some motivation and engagement.
Just like us. My journey of like learning DBL is like still keep going. It's like never end.
That's right.
But that's good. It's like a process. Like
it's a process.
When I look back, like it's the start of the year. I look back how I learned it for this last year and the previous year. I think I learned a lot. Learn lots is because I fail a lot. That's, I think, the most important part.
And I think that's the important part, the
Yeah.
idea that you need to take a few risks.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is risk-free.
Yeah.
There's too many educators or teachers who think you have to make everything perfect, that there's no risks or there's no drawbacks, but that's not how it works.
That reminds me one very good my experience is once we have teachers meeting, and then the principal is good asking, do you guys have any questions? And everyone is so silent. And it takes me 5 minutes to ask the question because I really face a problem. Like the student, they plan the project so well, and once they go into execution, it didn't work that way. But it's so embarrassed for me to ask that question because I think it seems no one asked that. And then if I ask that,
so you're saying
it means it's like
you're a failure.
I'm failure.
Because you were saying the project didn't work. You planned everything.
Yeah.
The lesson plan looked good. The project plan looked good, but then it didn't work.
And it takes me very big courage to speak up in front of every teacher. Say that I face this problem, so anyone can help me with that.
Okay. So you asked the question, and what happened?
And it's very good, like the school principal and everyone say, it's a very good question. So what's everyone, how to face it, and how can, any suggestion for it? And then it's like, makes me so surprised. This is the first time I try to ask question because as grow up in my environment, it's like not encouraged to ask too many questions. They would think you make too trouble, or if you ask too much why, they will think you're not a good student, and then you don't want to embarrass them because I'm teacher, I should know.
Yeah.
But to be honest, as a design-based teacher, it's like you can't know everything. You need to say I don't know. That's very hard.
Yeah.
And then, but the result is good. Like everyone speak up, like give suggestion.
Because so the design-based learning process requires the teacher also to be learning along the way.
Yeah.
That not all the answers are there. There's no one right or wrong answer in the process of this learning.
Yeah,
right?
you need to be very vulnerable, and as team, they can support each other.
Yeah.
So if a teacher, you have any problems, welcome to ask.
Yes.
Yeah, and we can learn together, I think.
So I guess the summary is there is no one best method. There's always a combination of methods, and we have to be open to doing things, trying, failing, and trying again.
Yeah.
And that it's a learning journey. We don't have all the answers, right?
Yeah, and then to be honest, as I reflect my journey, I think lots of failure helped me how to move forward, and it's also help other teachers, like what I just mentioned that case. After that, I realized lots of teachers face that problem.
Yeah.
No one speak up.
That's another thing we should tackle this summer. You know, how do you get teachers to speak up all about the problems?
Yeah. So maybe we can start something like everyone share in design-based
learning
podcast
later on.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. This is a good conversation, Ming.
Yeah. Thank you. It's like good chat as a teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
And I hope our audience also enjoyed it. All right. That's it for today. Episode 12, by the way.
Yeah. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.